So hello everybody and welcome to 3D Modeling with Blender Lecture 2. And today we are gonna talk about extrusion, subdivision, UI and primitives, as well as doing a small workshop that you can follow along. So let's start. So today's structure is extrusion, subdivision, UI and primitives. Last time we had introduction to 3D modeling basics. We modeled a basic house and so on. On the right side there are some textures of a cave from Rob Tidal, environmental artist 2018. Some cave scene created by Blender Guru that has also great tutorials in the internet. And then my own cave scene from that is actually also modeled with Blender 3D, that is in my game Dodo Adventures. So we went through object and edit mode, coordinate system a little bit, how to coordinate in the scene, some primitives, some merging the vertices like we did in the house example. We went through a little bit the orientation and how to see the 3D view and orbiting around it. We also learned to use shortcuts like tab or E or shift to orbit around the object. Also we learned about some axes, X, Y and Z coordinates, and also F3 to search for functionalities. And then we had a little bit rendering and moving the camera as well, but we will go through those as well. Here is also, if you want to see this movie, it's on Netflix. It's called Next Gen, and that was also produced exclusively with Blender, and that was released in 2018. And the movie reminds me a little bit of Wall-E by Pixar. So Blender is absolutely really capable machine. I mean modeling tool. Okay, a little bit community. So if you want to take a look at other artists at blenderartists.org, you are free to do so. Also, publishing your own models or have a discussion there is great. From Polyheaven, you can get some textures as well that are needed in the next tutorials. And we have a small image here with the vertex and vertices. So you remember those small dots that are vertices. 8 together in one cube. So let's start the second workshop. So we have quite a bit modeling today. We are trying out these reference images and modeling this cup, as well as modeling a table that gonna be also included in the final exercise. So that's one of the room elements. You can also model a chair on your own. We're gonna continue primitives and UI and also centering the object, how it's easy to center and also separate objects that they are nicely there, that they can individually manipulate it and not all at once. And then this is actually first lecture of using modifiers as subdivision surface and solidify modifiers that are needed in the cup. Okay, let's start with modeling a table. All right, so modeling a basic table is like this. So you start with the basic cube, and then we get rid of the light and camera as well. Don't worry about the measurements here, but we try to aim to about 2 meters. So let's say that this cube is 1 meter diameter, so we can make it like 2 meters long. So if we want to make this 2 meters long, we click on S2. Nope, we need to also, when we click S, then we click Y and then number 2. So it creates this kind of cube. You can also use this scale functionality here and pull it down so it reaches your wanted thickness. Here, if you have added emulate numpad, if you are using a laptop, you can access these quick tools like front orthographic view and also the top view. So if you click on numpad 7, you would get this top view. And when you click on tab, you will switch between edit mode and object mode. Object mode, edit mode. So in object edit mode, you will be able to edit these things, and in object mode, you will be, for example, set the scaling or select different object on the scene on this 3D view. And then when you just hover over with your and orbit with your middle mouse button here, you will go away from this front view and you need to push numpad 7 again. And then when we go back to edit mode, we will be able to use this tool called loop cut and slide that adds another slide to your model. So in order to, we have already the base of the table, but we need the feet here. So we need to do something. There are many things, like for more advanced users, mirror modifier is really good for modifying individual things, but we're gonna make this really simple right now. So simple table. We're gonna use this loop cut and slide. That is actually Control R hotkey. So what happens when we click on Control R once? It activates this loop cut and slide mode, and if you hover over your object in its axis, you can see this line forming here. So if you click on middle, you can see that the line is forming here. Okay, and you can aim your first line around here, and when you click on N, you can see the item transform. So you can see that loop cut is like 0.8. So we can make this really precise by just pressing 0.8 here. And Control R, we create a new loop cut here. And we aim to same diameter, like 0.8, minus 0.8 here. So it forms the loop cut accordingly. Then another loop cut here goes along the x-axis. So you click here and then you pull it up, and we aim also like something like this. So let's make this also 0.8. Or 0.9 in this case. And then another loop cut and slide here, and also minus 0.9. Okay, so the thing here is now the loop cuts are nicely placed. We click on 7 again to get the top view. And then we can change here the possibility to select the mode. So we need a face selection mode in order to select these faces to form the legs. So we can click on that and then shift clicking the other 3 legs. And now what we can do is to extrude the region by clicking on E on your keyboard. And then click on 1. So it forms these feet. You can also click on E and then pull them up from the Z axis. Remember to access the Z axis here. If you click on Y on your keyboard, you will see that the extrusion is happening on the Y axis and similarly on the X axis. So keep them on the Z axis. And then you can click 1, so you will see these things. Okay, and then when you go back to object mode, select your table and then click on rotate and rotate it around Y axis for 180 degrees. So you can just type them to your keyboard, so you will see your table like this. Okay, now feel free to add another object here. So when you're adding another object, like making your chair, make sure that you click on A 2 times, that everything is unselected. And then when you are in object mode, you can actually add a new cube here like this, and then move it along with G, move it along the X-axis close to the table. So remember here that you had in outliner view, you have this table separate and also this chair separate. So preferably name these accordingly, like table and chair. And now we have a new thing here. If you want to precisely model this chair here, and it's not part of this object, you can go to click on quick favorites and Q. So remember to add these like frame selected and right click to your quick favorites, or you can click your tilde key that is located on the upper left hand side of your keyboard, and then you can see actually the only the model object that you're gonna model. And then when you click on tilde key again, you can access to the same view with all of those objects. So what happens here, you need to create the chair. So let's create this chair really quickly. What we can do here is actually to go edit mode and on the top view, and we can go to edge. One moment. We can go to Shift Control E, and then we can subdivide this one. And when you subdivide the object, this one appears on the down corner. So you can select the number of cuts. So for example, we can select like 4 cuts. Okay, you can do this individually, but we just want to make this quite quickly. So here you can actually create the cuts everywhere in that cube. And using this mode, face selection mode, you can select your individual faces that you would like to extrude. So if you want to extrude these, you click on E, S, and then Z. So quite many things, and then you can extrude this by 1, for example. So quite nice chair here. And then you can fine tune this by selecting all of these faces and then just grab them. But remember to access your axis as well. So you click on X and then you can pull it a little bit over like this. And when you click on tilde key again, you can see your chair here. It's a little bit lower table than usually, but it works really well now as a start. So you can try to also, if you go here and you select units, you go to scene properties, you can see that we are using the unit metric system. So basically here you can see when you click on N, you can see that the dimensions is like 2 meters 44 centimeters. So this is quite big chair. So you can aim to use correct measurements here. And what is quite important in 3D design is that you apply scale sometimes if you are making more objects or you're creating using those modifiers. So Control A, you can apply the scale, so you can see that the scale is now evenly distributed to 1. So apply scale for my chair as well. This is not very necessary right now, but remember that there is this kind of option. All right, we have now modeled a basic table. And now it's your time to create your own chair as you want it, using the loop cut and slide mirror modifier. If you are already experienced user and want to dig deeper, or this kind of subdivision thing. Okay, next we are going to make a coffee cup. So I'm gonna use my own reference photo that I took a picture from a cup, and I'm gonna share it for you as well, so you can use the same reference photo. So, for example, here I'm having a basic room. This is just simply one cube, and one of 3 of the faces are deleted as well. And then I made my table here, and I made my chair here as well. So what we want to do right now is to create the cup. So we want the cup to be on top of the table. So sometimes this actually happens that we have 2 objects on the same. So if you want to create these 2 objects in the same place, you don't have to select them, shift select. You can group them together by joining them. So clicking on Control J, you can join these together. So when you click them, you can get them back. And then when you tap and you go to edit mode, you can see that everything is now editable. And how to get this back is when you go to, for example, this front view, and then when you enable X-ray, you can select the object you want to separate, and then you click on P and separate selection, and then you can go back. Whoops. Okay, so now they are separate objects. So make sure that here in your outliner everything is kind of separate when you are working on these. All right, so modeling a cup. So let's start by adding a reference photo. So click on Control A, image, reference, and select your coffee cup here, and then make sure align to view is unselected, so it's gonna lay out nicely here. When you have this selected, you can click on tilde key that you can see only the reference photo, and click on 1, but you need to actually here you need to rotate this one by 90 degrees. So let's select it and then rotate it from the x-axis by 90 degrees. So now when you click on numbered 1, you can see the front view here. Okay, let's start by adding a cylinder. So it forms out nicely here, and then you can grab it using G and place it on top of this reference photo like this. Okay. And when you have this reference photo behind, you can go to edit mode, and then on upper hand corner we have this toggle X-ray mode option available. So we will be able to kind of select also vertices behind of this object. Okay. So when you select all by clicking on A, you will be able to scale this up, but you want only to scale this upper part. So if you click on Shift Z, you will be able to lock the Z axis. So you will be able to spread this all the way here. All right, nice. So unselect everything, have your X-ray mode on. Then you can go to vertex selection mode and select all of these lower part vertices. And then you can scale them down all the way here. And also you can G, grab them, and then using the Z position to go all the way down. And then a couple of times A, you will be able to unselect all. Then we start by adding loop cuts. So Ctrl R to add the loop cut here. And because we wanted to model also the handle, we need to add the loop cut according to the handle here. So it's easy to model. So let's add it, place it here, close to the handle, then another loop cut under the handle, another one here, and the last one around here. Okay, what you can actually do here is to scale them also when you do them. So like this, and scale it according to the reference photo. And then scale it down a little bit just by using letter S on your keyboard, and then S by scaling it. And when you want to select this lower part, you click on Alt and then you click, and then you can scale it down, and G, something like that. Okay, you don't need the X-ray mode anymore, and you can see that the cup is forming quite nicely. What you need to do now is to get rid of the top part. So click on the face selection mode, click on the top part here, and then X and delete faces. Okay, we already have something here. But it looks quite edgy and scratchy like that. It's not perfect yet. So when we are in object mode, we can add a modifier here. So on the right hand side we have this tool, Modifier properties, add modifier, and add solidify modifier. So you can see that actually now this edge here thickens. You can put here thickness as like 0.05, for example, to create a little bit thicker. That's fine. And what do we need to do to make this actually really smooth? You can, in object mode, you can right click and create shade smooth. Okay, that's pretty cool already. But you can see that it's pretty edgy, so you need a modifier. So let's add another modifier here, and it's called Subdivision Surface. And Subdivision Surface modifier works as as magic. So it creates this kind of illusion and vision of having many millions of vertices here. But here you can actually increase the viewport size by, for example, 3, so you can see this forming. Now you can see that the bottom looks quite weird. So if you go back here and you select, you get like this edge selection mode, and then you click on I, you can actually inset this part of the model, for example, like 2 times. So this bottom part looks nice. Also here you can see that this is not looking very fine yet, the rim of the mug. So you can add couple of, or actually you can add another loop cut and pull it up, so it forms this kind of nice rim. You can do the same thing here, and then it creates this kind of sharper edge here. Okay, so that's our cup without the handle yet, but I think we're gonna make the handle in the next tutorial. So thank you all for listening. And also in the material there is an extra skyscraper that you can work with. It teaches you to do the extrusion with the scale and correct scale and subdivisions as well. So make that as an extra. Okay, thank you very much and see you in the next tutorial.